Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. How are you all doing? Please let me know in the comments below. I hope you're all blessed and you're all doing well. Yeah, I'm here, I'm surviving. I said I would do another video just off the back of my last video. If you haven't watched it, go and watch it. All about what's in my hospital bag this time around with second baby. And yeah, basically I said I'd come back and do a video just talking about decisions, trying to decide between a VBAC and a C-section. I never actually did a video. Well, I recorded a video of my birth story with my first child, but at the time I was still kind of processing the emotions and I just didn't feel ready to share with the world. And then I kind of fell off YouTube video making for a long time, so it just never came up. I might try and dig out that video and see if I can put it on. So I'm a little bit out of breath. Pregnant lady problems. I haven't actually been doing anything. I don't know why I'm out of breath. I just felt out of breath. To be honest, today I'm gonna be honest, I've been feeling rough. This week has been rough. Like, my pelvic pain has been excruciating. I have been on crutches a lot of the week, and yeah, I'm just, I wouldn't say I'm ready to just like drop the baby. Obviously, I still have a few weeks to go. I'm getting into those final weeks and I just kind of want to savor them. As much as it's not comfortable, it's like, it's just that realization that this may be the end of my journey, my pregnancy journey for good, because I don't know if I want more kids. At the moment, I'm thinking no. So I kind of just want to savor it and savor that memory, because even though it's not comfortable, it is still a miracle, what my body has done and what what I've been through. And I think it's such a beautiful time in life, so I don't take that for granted at all. Very uncomfortable time in life, but it's also very beautiful, especially when you see what you get at the end. So worth it. And I think I just want to kind of savor that. And I also want to savor my sleep, because even though I'm not sleeping perfectly, I know I'm still sleeping better than how I'm going to be sleeping when I got a newborn. So yeah, anyway, let me get right into it. So in terms of VBAC and C-section, this isn't an advice video. I'm not advising anyone what to do, because honestly, I think every woman's situation is different, and I'm not a medical professional at all. I'm a social care professional. That's my area of expertise. So I wouldn't dare give anyone advice about what to choose. I just kind of wanted to talk through my experience and where I'm at the moment, so that when I do give birth and I do another video and come back here, you guys can kind of see my journey and how it all kind of worked out. Obviously, I don't know how it's going to work out, but I think it's kind of nice to reflect on my thoughts. Anyway, I won't over talk about that. But in a nutshell, with my first daughter, I had a C-section. I'll run through how it led to a C-section. So I was all good for a natural birth. Well, I don't like to say natural, I like to say vaginal, because I did have an epidural and I had no plans to do it without medication. And also, I feel like I don't really like to use the word natural, because I feel like giving birth is giving birth, whether it's C-section, whether it's vaginal birth, whether it's assisted birth, whatever method used to give birth. The fact is, you safely carried your baby and brought them into the world, whether you had additional assistance or not. So I feel, to me, yes, you might have needed more interventions, but you still followed the course of nature and bringing life into the world. So that's why it comes naturally to say that, because everybody does, but that's kind of my philosophy at the moment. But yeah, so I was all on course to have a vaginal birth. And then all throughout my pregnancy, I didn't have any symptoms of high blood pressure whatsoever. So my waters broke about, let's say, 7 days before I was due. No, sorry, let's say 8 or 9 days before I was due. And then, so let's say I was going to be due the following Tuesday. The Sunday before, Sunday night? Yeah, my waters broke on the Sunday night. So my waters broke on a Sunday night, went into the hospital, and then I basically ended up having a C-section Tuesday morning, because number one, I then started developing preeclampsia out of the blue. I guess that does happen, but I was not prepared. I was I was kind of like confused by the whole thing. Anyway, so that was that. Then on top of that, I was in the hospital. So when my waters went, generally they like you to give birth within 24 hours. I was in the hospital for about 7, 8 hours till the morning. So I came in around midnight with my waters having broken. I think I was about 1 centimeter dilated, and my contractions were very irregular, and then they kind of tailed off, to be honest with you. They became even more irregular. So by the morning, um, the midwife was like, look, would you like to get an induction? And one thing I would definitely say to mums out there is do your research, especially as a first time mum or even a second time, third time, whatever. Do your research about different things, because all the research I was doing was about, getting through the pain. It was about, I did do no research on C-sections, to be honest, and the recovery and all that. I just kind of went by anecdotal experiences from friends, but I didn't really do any research. I did, yeah, I was mostly doing research around what it's like, what does it feel like to give birth, assisted birth, that kind of stuff. So um, I didn't do any research about inductions. I didn't do any research about membrane sweeps. I did a bit about epidurals, but on balance, I decided I wanted one because I was not trying to be screaming the hospital down. And I just didn't see the point of going through pain if I didn't need to. That was just me personally. Um, so yeah, so ended up um, having yeah, they were like, would you like an induction? Speed things along. I regret saying yes to that, even though I don't know if it would have changed the outcome, but I said yes, started the induction. By another 24 hours, oh, and I had an epidural, so then my movement was limited. I wasn't able to eat or drink. By another 24 hours, my labor wasn't progressing. So in the end, I think I got to like 3 borderline 4 centimeters. Let's just say 4 centimeters. And they kept coming to me saying, do you want to think about C-section? Your preeclampsia, baby's heart rate seems to be dropping as well. They had to do the fetal monitoring where they put it on the baby's head, um, because it was just, the machine was just kind of up and down. So in the end, I agreed to a C-section because I'd already been in labour like 30 hours. I was 4 centimeters. I wasn't progressing. Um, Obviously, risk of infection for baby because my waters had broke, my mucus plug was gone, everything gone. So I was just like, okay, on balance, is it sensible now? Like I've given it a good go. I've given it a good go. I didn't even have it in me to keep going. I remember thinking to myself, like, if I have to push, because I remember being shocked, like, when you watch movies and women are pushing, it's like, they push and then, whoo, out goes to find the baby, all in all 5 minutes. I remember reading that first time mums can be pushing for 2 hours. I said, 2 hours. So the thought of that scared the life out of me. And I just thought, gosh, even if I did try to keep going and obviously put everybody at risk, put myself at risk, put the baby at risk, will I be able to push for 2 hours? Yeah, I was so worn out. I mean, when I went into the C-section, I remember asking the doctor if I could sleep because I was so tired. That's how tired I was. Um, yeah, I kind of was in and out of sleep, to be honest, until baby came out. But I was so out of it, with all the drugs, the gas in there, the epidural, so out of it that it it wasn't the birth that I wanted, and I do still feel type of way about it, a big type of way about it. But I've also learned to accept it and to be grateful, because I do feel like I don't know what would have been the outcome if I kept pushing for the vaginal birth. And I'm so grateful to the medical team, and I'm grateful to God for seeing me through, and that actually I came out with like pretty good C-section recovery. It was painful, I'm not gonna lie to you. It hurt. And like I said, I did no research. I didn't know how much it would hurt, but it was very painful. But I was quite fortunate. I was out of the hospital quickly, and I was only in pain for a couple of days. So yeah, I did have some, like, you get numbness, you get tingling, even sort of months down the line, that the C-section area still feels uncomfortable. The first few days, like I'll say the first up to a week, is horrible. You're having to inject yourself, like it's not ideal. It's not ideal compared to people who have a vaginal birth who are kind of up and running. Obviously, some people get really bad tears and they are still recovering and still like in quite a bit of pain, but excuse me, but I still feel that overall, people recover better. And even though it's obviously more painful to have a vaginal birth, but once it's done, it's done. You know, you go through that pain. And I think I remember watching videos of women giving birth, and there was this really beautiful moment when they'd done all that pushing, all that labouring, and then the baby comes out and they just hold the baby to their chest. And every single woman describes that moment as euphoric. And I really wanted that. And I never got that, because with a C-section, you know, you don't get that. Even if you get skin to skin straight away. I mean, I wasn't even the first person to carry the baby, my husband was. Then the baby was given to me. I had to give the baby back because I was still in the middle of a surgery. So I didn't get that like time. I know some women said it's affected their breastfeeding, their bonding, all that stuff. That never affected me, to be fair. Like once I got out of the theatre, I was able to have skin to skin, start breastfeeding straight away. And to be honest, it all went pretty smoothly. Obviously not like storybook fairy tale smooth, but overall it was good. So I do feel fortunate in that respect that it didn't affect me like that. But it did feel, I didn't get that euphoria that I wanted. I didn't get that moment of like, you know, and I really wanted that. I really, really wanted that. So yeah, so when it came to this birth, like before I got pregnant, I knew I wanted to try for a VBAC. And if you don't know what that is, it's a vaginal birth after cesarean. So I didn't even know what it was when I gave birth the first time. So I did some like research. I'm very fortunate, both my aunties are midwives. So I spoke to them. I was like, yeah, what's my options? They're like, yeah, you could try for a vaginal birth as long as you give like a good enough gap so that you're not at risk of uterine rupture, which is basically because you've got that scar, like obviously your belly is like, it's even when it's healed, you still have a scar there. So it still has that risk of your uterus splitting or something like that. I don't know. Like I said, please, I'm not a medical professional. Please do your research on these terms so you can understand it for yourself. But yeah, so I think my daughter was 17 months or 18 months when I got pregnant. So it was a good enough gap. And part of the reason why I left that gap is because of that. Not the main reason. I would have always left that gap anyway. But I do feel like I was ready a little bit sooner, but I still left the gap. Anyway, so yeah, so I think here I haven't heard the phrase TOLAC so often, but I watch a lot of videos, and there's also a phrase called I think it's trial of labour after cesarean, which is basically if you want to have the VBAC is only if you're successful. The TOLAC is when you're actually trying for the VBAC. So I guess that's the category I would be in, but I don't think it's a phrase that's really used in the UK. I'm not sure. I've not heard anyone say it in the UK. But yeah, anyway, what happened next? So yeah, I knew I wanted a VBAC, but halfway through my pregnancy, I started to think to myself, right, so I knew I wanted a VBAC, but halfway through my pregnancy, I started to think to myself, do you really want to go through an unpredictable labour that could still end up in an emergency C-section? Like, do you want to put yourself through that? Because I just feel like emotionally that's going to be a lot. Physically it's going to be a lot, but the worst part will be emotionally, because I'm going to be honest with you, having a C-section, I did feel a sense of disappointment and failure. And I'm not saying that it is a failure or it is a disappointment. I'm just saying how I felt about it for me. Because I didn't want a C-section. I really didn't want a C-section. So, and I just thought to myself, going into it the second time round, yes, I would like a vaginal birth, but what I want more than anything is a healthy baby and for me to come out healthy on the other side and be able to look after my kids and raise my kids, right? So I thought to myself, that is probably a bit more assured with an elective C-section. And based on my research, I would say the majority of people that have had elective C-sections seem to have a very positive experience. So then, yeah, so I was kind of like leaning towards an elective. The other thing I was thinking is that, you know, when you've got toddler and stuff, this isn't a reason for making or wanting to make that decision. It's just kind of like a bonus. When you've got a toddler and you've got to plan around childcare, and we live quite far from our family. We live in North Essex, most of our family is South Essex and beyond, and our friends are mostly in London. So trying to sort out like childcare and stuff is quite hard when you don't live close to anybody. But obviously, if you're going in for a planned C-section, it's easy. You could drop the child off, you know roughly how long you're going to be away, and then, you know, it's a bit smoother. So there was those little considerations as well that was kind of swaying me towards a VBAC. Sorry, towards an elective C-section. As much as I didn't want to go through the recovery again, but I also thought, okay, well, a lot of women were saying that the recovery was better for them the second time because they didn't have to go through like hours and hours of labor and stress out their body. So their body was already like quite relaxed. They went in, had a nice, lovely experience with their elective. It was all peaceful. They were present for the baby, not, you know, not overly drugged up, and then they could just like have their recovery and go home. And you're kind of mentally prepared, because when you have an emergency C-section, you're not mentally prepared for the recovery. Whereas if you have an elective, you're mentally prepared. Okay, I'm going to be in pain. I'm going to be prepared, keeping on top of my medication. This is what I'm going to do. So it's just something about that mental preparation. But yeah, so that was what kind of where I was at, sort of like half, 3/3 of the way through the pregnancy. But I did have a chat with my consultant, and they kind of said to me, look, you're a good candidate for a VBAC. You've got a good chance of success. 3 out of 4 women have a VBAC. So, you know, if you're up for it, go for it. So I was like, you know what? If they thought it's possible, who am I to not even give it a go? And what will be, you know? So as it stands, I've made a decision to try for a VBAC. At first, I really struggled I made the decision without actually being in the headspace for it. Like, my head was still saying elective C-section, elective C-section. But I think as time has gone by, I have been doing a lot to prepare myself. And I feel like my hospital has been excellent in that regard as well, in terms of what they're offering and the support. So like, one of the things they're offering is hypnobirthing, which obviously most people either pay privately or pay for classes, but we actually get it like as part of, you know, what we get, which is nice. And I've had an opportunity to speak to like a consultant and the midwives about my birthing, and I'm obviously at the point now towards the end where I'm having regular appointments, and yeah, I feel very like comfortable knowing that they're supportive of it, but also they're giving me all the information I need to make my own decisions, and they're empowering me as well to make my own decisions. I really, really love that, because I know people who have wanted VBACs in the hospital haven't been supportive, and I think that makes it even harder. I think if I was in that situation, I probably wouldn't fight them, because I don't have that fight in me. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't have that fight in me. I need a lot of encouragement. So having that there, having that support there, having that information. Like, one of the things I've been researching recently is membrane sweeps, because when I was doing my VBAC research, a lot of women and the medical team, my medical team, are also saying that, you know, inductions, if you end up with an induction, it does decrease your chance of a successful VBAC. It does increase your chance of a uterine rupture. Uterine rupture is actually the worst case scenario for me. So I felt like that's even worse case than an emergency C-section. So I think, knowing that, I said to my medical team, my plan is try and go into labour naturally, try and give birth back 41 weeks. If I haven't given birth, then I want a C-section, because I don't want to go over 41 weeks. Because obviously, when you've had a C-section before, the longer you leave it, the more risk of like uterine rupture again. People have their different ideologies and philosophies around that. That's just a conclusion I've come to based on my research. So I'm going to say it one more time. I'm not a medical professional. Okay, I'm not a medical professional. Do your own research. I'm just telling you my views based on my personal research. So for me, I didn't want an induction, but further conversations have taken place, and now I'm realizing that actually what I'm probably going to do is have a membrane sweep if I go overdue. I was early with my daughter, so hopefully I'll be early again. Not too early, obviously, but like maybe like a week or whatever. So that would be quite reassuring. But if I'm not, I've kind of discussed with midwife that I'll have a sweep like a few days after I go overdue. And then if that doesn't work, they have a dedicated midwife who's all about birth choices and birth options and empowering you, and she does all the hypnobirthing stuff. And they also have like a pregnancy relaxation classes, which I'm hoping to join. So I think she was talking about gentle inductions, which, you know, it's still better to have a gentle induction and give yourself, even if it's a 50% chance of a VBAC, than to go ahead and just have a C-section. So I'm probably going to go for the gentle induction first. So the membrane sweep, then the gentle induction, maybe at 41 weeks. And obviously if the gentle induction doesn't work, then I probably will end up having another C-section. But I guess in a way it will be kind of planned because we already know it's happening. So it won't be an emergency one like that. So in a way, I feel like it's a good plan. That's where I'm at the moment. Feel free to give your views and thoughts in the comments. I may decide to change my mind based on them if I do more research. I'll be very helpful for, you know, experiences or just advice. But equally, I may ignore what you say because, you know, so I feel like this is a journey, an individual journey, and everyone has to do what works for them, and what works for one woman is, or one family, isn't going to work for another woman. And I think you just have to do what feels right for you, and, you know, whatever the outcome, the main thing is that hopefully everybody gets a nice birth, even if it's not to plan. Hopefully everyone gets a birth that they can live with and they're at peace with. And if you don't, hopefully you can find a way to come to terms with it. And I guess just be like filled with gratitude. That's what I've tried to be, like really filled with gratitude. I hope that video has been interesting. I hope it's kind of given people something to think about. And if you're in that same position where you're going to be making a choice soon, or you're making choices, it's kind of good to just, like, I guess, chat to other people. So see this as your chat with me. Yeah, just to get other opinions. That's what I've been doing, and it's really, really helped. And just to get real life experiences as well. But I definitely will let you know how I come out the other side. It's now May, so definitely I'm coming up to my due date. So very soon I'll be back here. I mean, I'll do videos before I come back, but I'll be back here telling you guys how it went, giving you my story. Hopefully I'll be emotionally able to, but I am going to try. I'm going to push myself. Even if I can't do the whole story, I would at least like to let you know, guys know, if I was able to have the VBAC or not. And if I couldn't, what happened, and if I did, how, you know, how I achieved it, or how it was achieved, let me say, because I don't think it's in my power alone. It's a whole team of people, and it just depends on circumstances and the baby and my body. So yeah, I'll let you guys know how I get on. But yeah, I will be back with more videos soon. So, oh, how can I forget? For the last 10 seconds of this video, let me just say, if you haven't subscribed, why not? Like my daughter would say, why? No, seriously. Thank you so much, everyone who has subscribed. I appreciate it so much. It really means a lot to me. And if you haven't, I'd be grateful if you could subscribe. I really would love to get to 100 subscribers before I have this baby. So if I could get to 100 subscribers by the end of May, that would be amazing. That would be so, so cool. So yeah, if you can support and subscribe, I mean, it's free. You know, it doesn't cost you anything. So please subscribe. All right, anyway, enough of that. Have a lovely day, guys. Thanks for watching my video, and I'll see you soon. Bye.